Hey everyone, we'll get started in just a moment after I cough. Sure, I'm recording. Share the screen. I'll share the screen in a minute. All right, everyone. Welcome to the iOS14 webinar. I've been researching and presenting on this topic at various places and realized I hadn't presented to our own list and user base. And so while we emailed out a lot, I wanted to have a live Q&A after I present some slides and a quiz to see how well you understand the impact. You know, my background, I've done 20,000 hours on marketing attribution, so it's really important that we understand this for our business and our customers, but also it's kind of like my, thing is to research these type of topics and try to figure out where there's an advantage and where there's like, oh crap, this is bad, and in between. And we label this chaos equals opportunity because when the prompt hits the phones, it's going to be pretty chaotic. But that actually just means opportunity. It doesn't mean Facebook's going away as a traffic source. It's going to be a killer traffic source. It's going to be even better because people aren't going to be able to tell unless they have measurement, obviously. But it's going to shy some people away from the platform to divert money, and that might be an opportunity for you, or it might be a time for you to diversify. So let me share the presentation here once my mouse lets me. Cool. Now, before we get going, I'm going to put this link in the chat. So you can go there. It has a quiz. It has a survival guide. It has scenario breakdowns. It has the podcast, and it's going to have this recording. So if you're watching this on a recording, when we email out, you're going to go to a page with the recording. It's going to be behind a button that's going to show up here. So that being said, let's dive right into it. I'm going to tell you a few things in the front about it, and then we're going to actually quiz you to see how well you understand the impact. I thought it'd be an interesting way to learn rather than just listen to me talk the whole time. Well, this is going to be a lot of me talking. So, typo on the first slide, not a good thing. It's IDFA, and IDFA is the ability for people authorized with Apple's API to look up web history and other things via cell phone number. And so, Apple is not allowing people to use that endpoint, particularly for tracking, unless the user is aware of it. And so that's, that in a nutshell is what's happening. So it's like, oh, can I still do this or that or the other thing? It all depends. Is whatever you're trying to consider, are they using Apple's IDFA to look up history and activity based on a phone number? And if so, this impacts them. And if not, it doesn't impact them. So that's the in a nutshell what's going on here. So these are the kind of we do want to get to solutions, not just complaints about the situation. So here's how it looks. You know what, I want to go back one. It really is going to be opportunity for people that understand and take advantage. So it's really not, it's almost like going back to 2016, 2017 is what I'd say. In that you can, just hoping the Facebook algorithm prints you money is, ideally Facebook figures that out, but it's gonna be a lot more challenging based on the restrictions. So here's how it all started. This prompt or something similar is going to come up in people's phones, and it's more often likely than not likely that people are going to say ask app not to track. So whenever we're saying can't track or can track, we're going to be talking about it from the purposes of when people see this on their phone, if they click ask app not to track, what's going to happen. So here's a scenario. I think that's actually, they pushed out the release another dot. So I think it's 14.4 or 5. It's supposed to hit this month. It's been pushed a couple times, so we'll see. So let's say what happens, you're on your phone and you click ask app not to track. You're inside the Facebook app. You see a nice ad and you click and buy. Now, if someone sends the data via the Facebook API or uploads it, or whatever reason you can conjure up to send the data to Facebook and say, hey, Justin just bought some lobster. Facebook has to ignore the conversion data. So that is, you know, I don't even know if that's necessarily fair, but that's what's happening. Now, Wicked Reports, this isn't going to be an infomercial for Wicked Reports the whole time. I'm just here to kind of help in this case. It just so happens, though, that it kind of is, because we don't have any of these restrictions. We're going to be able to track just fine because we're a first-party data cookie with data is only for first parties. We're not using IDFA for any reason. We're not sharing or selling data. So we're unaffected. So our data will be fine. But Facebook would have to ignore this conversion. Now, it hasn't happened yet. Some people are like, oh, well, it's not, I'm still seeing reasonable, you know, right now what's happened is the conversion windows have shrunk. The attribution windows have shrunk. Excuse me, I wolfed down some Szechuan stir fry right before this. So giving me a little fun in my chest here. Excuse me. So Facebook has to ignore it, but we don't. So that's the main difference of what's happening. Now, there's other problems that are happening because of this Ask App Not to Track, which we're going to dig into. Is it going to affect campaign structure, targeting, optimizations, conversions, measurement? It's going to affect everything. And so let's get into some scenarios here. And, you know, everyone's going to be offering silver bullets to fix iOS 14. I've already seen some. And you can't fix the issue that Facebook can't use opt-out data. There's no way to do this. It's illegal. But not only that, if you illegally thought you could squirm it in there, you can't. I mean, we're Facebook conversion partners. We'd love to be able to say, hey, well, we can push it in, but no one else can, but we can't do that. We can send it to them. They just have to ignore it. We've been sending data to Facebook since 2017, I think. Worked with their product team on conversions to architect the thing to do so, and you can't get around this. So just once those prompts hit, you'll see that, but I just want to beware of that. So we're going to dive into it. Now, I'm a data scientist. This is kind of what I do, and we are badged partners of Facebook for conversions. I got my bi-weekly call with them coming up at 4 o'clock today. So, and we were the first partner to upload conversion data for a measurement solution. So I know this pretty well. And then with Google, we're the first partners to upload conversions to them. So, and we have some webinars where they recommend Wicked Reports on our site. So you can certainly take a look at those. And I have patents behind this. Patent pending, actually. God, don't ever try getting a patent. It's like a 4-year, very expensive journey that is almost over. Within a year. I'm supposed to have it by the end of the year, so thank God. But anyway, this is like my livelihood. So let's get to it. The pop quiz. I'm going to do 7 questions, and that's how you're going to kind of see some of the impacts. Most of them have already hit well, not most of them. Some of them have already hit accounts, and some are about to hit accounts when the prompt hits. So this quiz assumes the prompt is already hit. Question number 1. User opts out of iOS tracking, clicks on a Facebook ad, and buys immediately. Does this sale show up in Facebook Ad Manager? Throw it in the, you know what, I'm going to do throw it in the chat, what you think the answer is. Just do yes, no. You know, one of those interactive, you just want to sit there and listen and multitask, and someone's annoying and makes you actually answer. All right, we got 560 answering no's in the chats, and a couple put you in the Q&As. Either one's fine. I'll just have them up. Man, we get a smart crowd. Everyone's saying no. The answer is no. And so that's frustrating for sure, because it's a click, but now this currently is, the answer is still yes at the moment, even though the other changes some have hit, right? It's going to be no. Okay, Question 2, user opts out of tracking, clicks on an ad, buys immediately. You send the sale to Facebook via the conversion API. Does this sale show up in Facebook Ad Manager? Yes or no? It's a nice fast one. Denise all over it. Thomas is guessing no's correctly. And the answer is no as well. So you are paying attention. There's 2 for 2. Okay, now we're going to get into some other things. Retargeting. User opts out of tracking, clicks on lead gen becomes a lead. I mean, I guess it could be any campaign becomes a lead, but let's just pretend you have a campaign just for leads. They get retargeted. You know, you got retargeting, like you have a sync, immediately retargets your leads to buy. They click and buy right away. Does the lead gen campaign show a lead? Does the retarget lead campaign show a sale? So I guess you get 2 answers. I'm going to clear out. Yeah, I guess let's use the chat. Yes, lead, no sale. Yes to lead, no to sale. Appreciate the efforts there. You know, we got 24, almost 30 of us on here. Got 4 really active people. Thank you. That's usually the case. Everyone just wants the reporting. No and no. The opt-out's the catch. If they opt out, Facebook can't report them for any reason. It doesn't matter, which is rough, but that's the situation. Okay, same scenario, but you send the lead and sale via conversion API. Yeah, Nina's crushing it. Super fast answers, always correct. So far. Yep, everyone's feeling the no's and no's. Ruben is no and no. No and no. You know, I'm a pretty optimistic guy. I don't like writing a quiz that the answers all start no, but but that's the situation. So there's no workaround once the prompt hits. Okay, now it gets a little trickier. User opts in for tracking, becomes the lead, gets retargeted, buys. This is immediately retargeted. This happened in the same day, let's say. Yes, no, do they show the lead? Yes, no, do you show the sale? This one was interesting, and I had to have it like quadruple verified because I was first looking at this stuff back in like October, and I was like, man, this is really puzzling. Yes, 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 yes. Get ready for this one. No, yes. So here's how this one works. This is an interesting one to get. So in the, I'm going to show you a couple, there's some Facebook links on this, and there's some hairy documentation. But the reason why you have to prioritize, there's one of the guidance, you got to verify your domain, and then you have to prioritize your events, and you're only allowed 8, which that's painful if you have a lot of custom events. But even if you don't, let's say, your most important event is going to be sale, and then maybe your second is add to cart, your third is lead, and your fourth is view content. Let's just use those 4 for it. Keep this reasonably followable. So Facebook's only showing the highest priority event for a user. And they had it in there, and that's why they're having all this done. And I'm not sure why that is, but I had it verified many times, like before I was even comfortable stating this. So if someone clicks becomes a lead, then later on they become a sale. It has to do with how much data is coming over, and there's only so many bits in the particular file. So they had to pick what they were going to store where and what they weren't going to store in highest priority event, one out. So that one's pretty mind-blowing. Sale takes 4 of 8 to need. That's my understanding also. And then you got add to cart and then lead. And then, so even, yeah, so let's say you get someone views content, becomes the lead, abandons cart, and then ends up buying all at the same, on the same time frame. They're not saying how much time elapses when you could show more than one event per user. But right now it's 1 event per user, highest priority. So, I mean, the sale happened probably like, well, obviously everything depends with advertising, right? But likely you do something to cold traffic and retarget them to get them to buy. Well, the cold traffic is going to be like, I don't even know how you're going to need these Wicked reports, or you're going to use something. You have to use something. I'm going to need Wicked reports. Figure out Google Analytics somehow, jam stuff into your CRM and try to sort out a report that way. But you're going to have something for top of the funnel tracking, because all of a sudden the prompt's going to go live and then data is going to slowly trickle in. And then about 10 days out, everyone's going to be like, oh, crap. Unless your leads take a long time to buy, then you might be like, hey, that's not really affecting me that much. This is all for iOS traffic, by the way. iOS traffic, opted in or out. If you're doing desktop, none of this applies. Okay. User opts in for iOS. We have two more quizzes here. User opts in for iOS tracking. Clicks on a Facebook ad, does not buy. They buy 8 days later. Sale is sent immediately to Facebook via the conversion API. Does this sale show up in Facebook Ad Manager? This impact, I believe, is already hit. Ramsey and Michael say no, unless that was for the last one. Nope. So the 7 day is the trick there. 7 day attribution. So they go back 7 days from the sale. Facebook used to attribute based on the click and look forwards, 28 days. Now they start from the sale and look back 7. So it's a dramatic shift, not just in the time, but in the event, the orientation point for where they're looking for the window. So, I mean, Wicked's already started from conversions and look back. So I like that they're doing that. That makes more sense to me. Start from what you want and then look to see for what made it happen. But anyway, no. Geez, I think all these are no's. Maybe there's some yeses in here. Sorry, my phone was on here. Someone from my team texted me. 7 day impact. They opt in for iOS tracking. They click and become a lead. The lead sent via the API. User buys 8 days later. Sale is sent immediately to Facebook via conversion API. Yes, no on either of these. Try this one out. Those of you that haven't. See some yeses and nos. Yes and no. We had some smart folks on there. And everyone that answered nailed it. Yep, it's the 8 day. Now, one little, I mean, so if you had retargeted them and they clicked and bought under the window, you could conceivably see both show up. But for this scenario, yes, no. So that's, I mean, as you can see, it's pretty dramatic. I mean, these are dramatic changes. And so Apple's kind of view is only websites that users visit I can't talk today, should be involved in measuring ads and clicks. So it's the IDFA, there's all sorts of things going on. They pull all your phone history and do all sorts of things with it. Wicked's always been like, you know, privacy first, but also because a click to a website was a better data signal was really my also intent. I was like, if I just determine through someone's phone history that they converted, that's not a strong enough signal. If I'm going to have you moving around your ad spend based on what we tell you, I want to know for sure it worked. Like the evidence we show you in Wicked is definitely move the needle, so you should spend more there or not. So that's where we often differed with Facebook, was because they were, you know, doing a lot of things with the phone data that, you know, maybe people didn't even click over. So here's a kind of, okay, I'm going to do these that I answered live on the QAs here. Make sure I'm up to date on the chat. Now you guys can interrupt me as you go. Let's wait a couple more slides. And then if you have any Q&A, just throw it in the chat or the Q&A button, either one. I mean, I've been looking at this stuff for a long time, so I can, you know, talk off the cuff, whatever you need. Or we can just do it at the end. Whatever happens. So third verse, first party. I'm not going to read all these to you because that would be boring. But this is the whole, you know, with Facebook, even if they change their cookie to first party, that will help a little. But they're using it for third-party purposes. which doesn't make them the devil necessarily. It's just what they're doing because they were allowed to do it. Apple was the one giving them the API endpoint. So they chose to use it for all kinds of reasons, which was fine, and now it's not. Now, first-party data is when you're just using it for the advertiser. You're collecting it on your own. People, you have come to your site willingly. The data's been harvested on your own, and you're using it only for yourself. Then it's first-party data. And ideally GDPR and CCPA compliant, which we are. And then, I mean, data is super important now. We're going to talk about some of the things that makes this even more like strategies, but you know, just relying on the pixel to be seasoned and to take care of it all for you was a very smart strategy. Not to take it all care, but it was very smart strategy to season your pixels and use all that power. And now you need to get a hold of your own data because of the pixel. I'm sure, you know, Facebook's smart. They're going to have other ways of doing their best to get you revenue from your clicks, but I mean, why be beholden to someone else? You might as well own your own data to begin with. But now it's more important because then you can run around and use your own data much more, less restrictions than a Facebook or a Google or a Pinterest or a Snap are going to have. So the real tricky thing with the targeting, the ad sets will be interesting because, and Facebook said the audience network performance is going to suffer because they were using a lot of that phone number lookup data to figure out who they're going to show the ads to in those networks. But also when they're creating an ad set, sometimes I wear my Guns N' Roses shirt for this example. I'm wearing a New England Patriots shirt. They're going to be back in a big way this year. It's my prediction. Soon we find someone to throw the ball. And so how does Facebook know that I like the New England Patriots? Do they know because I like the New England Patriots in Facebook? I don't like anything. I'm 49 years old. I'm not into liking. That's like ridiculous. Do they know it because I clicked on some Google, on some Guns N' Roses ads in Facebook? I don't think I have, actually. I don't even have the app on my phone. Or did they know because I visited the website and then they stitched it together through looking up my phone number? That's probably most likely. And I would no longer be in the likes Guns N' Roses ad set unless Guns N' Roses uploads their email list, in which case I would be. So that's where you need your own first-party data. So that's one example of that. Up the Pats. Okay, got a question from Nina. If we are using uploaded custom audiences and the user has opted out, I can go ahead and assume the conversions will not show in Facebook Manager. Correct. Yes. Fortunately, we use Wicked Reports anyway, LOL. Oh, that's nice. Correct. So you can still target them in there, and they're just not going to be, and it still might convert really well. It's just the Facebook Manager, because they opted out. If you got them on the phone conversion, they won't show. Desktop still will. Android still will. iPhone won't. So it depends on how you convert them. So, I mean, it's just going to really muddy the waters on that. Okay. So with measurement, I mean, obviously we're a measurement company, but I mean, Facebook's already had measurement problems and it's still been awesome as a way to buy traffic. So I'm not anti-Facebook because of this, or Facebook's the devil. I just always got frustrated because people be like, well, your numbers are different than Facebook. And I'd be like, well, why would you pay us if our numbers were the same? That doesn't even make sense to me, first of all. We're just going to show you a pretty pie chart of Facebook data. You should just do that on your own and save the money. But they've already had a bunch of issues. They spent tens of millions of dollars of coupons. The match rates, which you can see in your own account if you have enough uploaded data, are usually 70%. So they're already missing 30%. I know everyone likes to think everyone's on Facebook, but they're not. A lot of them are. And then why can't they match everyone? I'm not sure. I mean, they're super smart people, but they've always had a lower match rate. And it hasn't affected how good it is to buy traffic there. But some of this stuff where you see the rosy results in Facebook are going to go down. And then also the targeting, though, is where it could get tricky. And then aggregated at the campaign level, a lot of the breakdowns are going to be missing. Okay, I got a raised hand. Sure, no problem, Nina. I don't know what that means. Just go ahead and fire away there, raised hand. Just throw it in the Q&A. I don't know what else to do with a raised hand. Mike, 2 people raise their hands. Sorry. No, that's okay. All right, Michael. Put it in there if you got put in the question and answer thing if you've got a Q&A, no problem. Here's some of the changes. I think, some of these have already hit this, but right now, 28 days gone and 7-day views gone. That's actually not bad news, because I think those are pretty optimistic. Now, we still do have 28 day because people like it. I don't like it personally. I don't. Oh, no problem, Michael. I don't mind it. But I feel like these changes for Facebook, I feel like it's going to at least be tighter. But then modeling is going to be used, sampling, and the data is going to be delayed, partial reporting. These are all thrown in there. So it means it's going to be tough to even audit what you see. Because, I mean, once you start using, I mean, if you're the type that likes to say, hey, I had 50 sales yesterday or 100 sales, I want to see 100 sales and what Facebook knows about them, you're not going to like this, because like the data is delayed. It's a mess. They're dealing with a mess. So, I mean, it's going to be really hard for them to, make it super accurate. Okay, existing match rate problem. So they already had this. Oh, another IFDA. I'm going to get my slide designer, very talented, made a typo everywhere. I'm going to ride him about this. Okay, so here's why, another reason why the conversions API is not the silver bullet. Let's say here's 100% of my sales. It's this nice round pie. Well, there I am. So here's from Get Me a Lobster account, right? He has the Shopify conversion sent up. We upload every single sale. And so if you can get over 1,000 events in a given day, it'll show you how many it matched. So you can go in and do this on your own. If you have over 1,000, you can go under Business Manager, Data Sources, pick your different sources, and you'll see how many you're matching. Now, I've looked into a fair amount. I don't bother looking anymore. I looked into a bunch of accounts. They're all about this range, 60%, 70% match. So they've already got 30% unmatched before all these tough restrictions. 33, I guess that was what that was. So this was before you get the iOS14, I don't want to track. They're going to miss 33 if right now when everyone wants to track. And then you got the opt-outs. Let's just say every other person says no. Well, then you're stuck with a very small amount of pie from phone traffic that's going to match. So it's going to be, that's just kind of how that works. Okay, I got a question here. Let me see if I get done this thread. 1 second, Denny. Okay, so, and we upload, and for those of you with our offline conversion sync, we get this a lot. Hey, what's going on? The conversion numbers seem off, so good time to explain it here as well. Website purchases were the pixel fires. And if you have our offline conversion integration sync, these are the offline conversion purchases. There's overlap here. There should be redundancy. They should match. They don't. And so that is showing that, again, 30%, they couldn't match 30% of the sales that they said happened. Now, did they happen or not? I don't know. I don't know where this number comes from. We sent Facebook every single sale. This is for this given range on this given campaign, right? We sent them every single sale. How could they be missing 100? How could they have 100 and something more when we were starting from every sale? No idea. But it means it's off. So yeah. Okay. So let's get into the question there. Hold on. Okay, do you have any explanation for how modeled partial data will look or work for one-day view? This window in some ad accounts for 60 to 70% of all transactions. We do. So for our offline sync, you know what? I should go back to that one. When we upload this, we built this with Facebook in 2017. We're gonna get back view data in addition to the ones that they know and we know tracking. We send up what we don't know anything about, assuming, hey, this must be a view because we can't find any clicks. And there's always a possibility we miss a couple clicks, but it's not like we miss a lot of clicks. And so we send it up, and then Facebook sends back their view data. So in Wicked, this window change, if you've been working at reports customer for 6 months with offline conversion sync, you go back and run like Q3 last click, and you'll see this column, Facebook online conversions, sync conversions. I'm I forget how I labeled it, something like that. Anyway, those are all your view conversions that we did not track a click. So we have it modeled in there to throw them in, but now it's 1 day instead of, I think it was 28 day. So now we're still going to have that column. You're just going to see, you know, if you're running it now for, if you ran it for February, you see a lot lower numbers than average. That's why. So we do our, so in summary, kind of said a lot there, Denise. I hope that helped. In summary, if we have a click tracked, we use our tracking. If we don't have a click tracked, we send it up to Facebook via offline conversion and use their view click aggregation and put it in the last click column. And you'll see that on last click model and on full impact. Those are the two models that have Facebook view. I'm going to mark that as answered. I hope it's answered. If not, if you want to know how Facebook's modeling it, I don't know. They're not super tight-lipped. Okay, sounds like that helped. Good. Okay, get past some marketing blab here. Okay, so I mean, it's going to be hard to trust them, and it's not even their fault. I mean, there has been issues with them in the past in trust, but there's no way. I don't know how they're going to do it. Conversion API still has some cool things to it, but it doesn't solve iOS 14. That being said, they're positioning everyone to do it because as the pixel gets more and more untrustworthy, you need to start sending Facebook conversion data just to get something in there so that they can bid on it, or you know, their algorithms can use it. So Shopify and Woo already have free conversion APIs for sales. So you should just turn those on. And that's why Wicked hasn't built one, because they already have them. And we have a lot of Shopify and Woo customers. For those using other things, if you have a custom cart, then you'll be able to wire up the API. It's, you know, one thing though is you got to dedupe. You got to have a dedupe key that you fire on the pixel and that you send over with the conversion API. So we have coming out a lead conversion API shortly, but not it's not ready yet. It's almost ready. Events you got to prioritize. If you have a lot of custom events, this one's going to be painful. I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have to pick your most important ones, you know. So start using lead gen heavily to get your own first party data, because you can then at least target them, even if you're not going to, you know, rather than relying on the pixel to help sort things out. Even if you're e-com, we'll get into what to do. You can just throw an opt-in offer in front of your sales offer, then just redirect them. Super simple move. You know, Get Me Lobster has 11 million in conversions from this move. And then use lifetime value. You know, the people that can, you know, bid based on lifetime value and real conversions. You know, this kind of like this is what Wicked Reports, heart of Wicked Reports is. But there's other ways to do that probably also. That's going to be an edge. And diversification is going to help, although they have these same issues. Snap and Pin particularly. Google has it, but they're not saying a word, which is really interesting. We don't know how much Google's using that. They have so many other signals they can use than Facebook, but it is some impact, just less. So this one was about the conversion API. We've covered that, I believe. You got to dedupe. And we have a dedupe offer that's coming. Mark, if we don't have conversion API set up and are not using Woo or Shopify, do you suggest we take the time to set up the conversion API now, even with yours coming? Yes. You still want to set yours up for sales. It's going to become more and more of a factor in terms of how they target, how they figure out lookalikes. It probably is going to, the sales, it will really help in the long term. It's not going to, again, fix any reporting issues, but it's going to help. So events, yeah, you only get 8, use them wisely. Okay, here's the lead gen. Okay, I wasn't sure I had this slide in here. So for those of you like, oh, I don't really do a lot of lead gen, or, you know, I'm an e-com store. We have a ton of e-com. That's our majority of our business is e-com, although we have all sorts of, you know, unique businesses. So here's what this lobster guy did. He just took this buy 6, get 6, right? It's his offer. He just puts this was an unbalanced landing page, and it was very, as you can see, simple. He's got, beautiful ad art images normally, but like I don't even really like that one, right? Oh, copyright 2017. I went and dug this out from a digital marketer. Me and him were on stage back at TNC 2018, and this was like a cutting edge thing. I know now everyone does this stuff, right? But you put the landing page in front of the offer, then just redirect them to the page. And then that's how you can collect your own first party data without having to be like, oh man, I got to build out this big nurtures thing. No, just do this. And then drive all your traffic here and then redirect them here. The other thing I like about this is when people don't buy right away, well, I mean, consideration. And then, but this is when you get cold traffic in, or it could be warm but I mean, cold traffic in, and they're still thinking, oh, this new brand, who the hell are they? And oh, wait a minute, that sounds fun. Yeah, I want this bonus says opt in. Then you're like, okay, that's not a bad price. I got to talk to my partner or whatever for lobster or whatever, whatever consideration is going to occur. Then you still know what really got their attention, and you have the lead so you can do all your retargeting. Whereas if it's iOS 14, you're relying on the pixel, not gonna be able to do it. So you should do this. And then use a ton of email automation to close them. Because then if email closes, right, let's say this is some sort of funnel here, email 2 closes them, well, then the paid ads will get the credit for the lead and the email will get credit for the sale. So, attribution 101 there, but that baby funnel, $11 million it led to this guy. And it's more than that now, right? I don't know when I did the screenshot, like 2 months, I think this one was 2 months ago. So now he's even higher, 11 mil. So that was over 5 years, and not like you make 11 million tomorrow from doing it, but it works really, really well. And he was going to bail on Facebook. Shopify and Woo have dedupe built in their solution. I don't know, actually. I would hope so. I don't know. I actually have the links up. Let me, how do I get out of this? How do I shrink my screen? Hold on. I'll put them in there. I grabbed them the other day to put them in here. Where are my links? Huh, I thought I had them. You see all my links here. Nothing really secret of my fantasy hockey stuff here. Shoot, why is that not going down? I will have to email them. Is it under Wicked bookmarks? No. I just bookmarked them the other day. Is it my things up? No. Shoot, I'll have to send them. So, I mean, you can Google WooCommerce conversion API. It'll probably be the first one that come up, Same with Shopify. I would hope they dedupe. I don't know. I would imagine they do. So what would be deduplicated? Mark asked, what would be duplicated? So the pixel's going to fire, ideally, and say there's a sale. And then you import via the conversion API, hey, there's a sale. They don't dedupe on the person. You have to have a dedupe key set up. And reason why I know this, I met with them 2 years ago, and we were the second company whitelisted to do this. And I was like, well, how are we going to dedupe? And at the time, it was brutal. I was like, we ain't doing that. We got plenty of else to worry about before we worry about that. And so we didn't do it. So that's why I know it's a real thing, because we used to just argue, can't you just dedupe on email? And I said, no. So ideally that will change someday, but it hasn't. All right, so people-based tracking, this is kind of how we do these things, and also give you an idea on how, like, this is like a typical marketing funnel, right? You got Google, Facebook, this scenarios, an active campaign. The circles without anything under it are organic. And then, so Facebook's opinion in the past used to be they'll just look forward, ignore all the other points, and look forward 28 days. They're now, if you send them, now when a pixel fires, they're going to look back 7 days. So the eyeball is facing the other direction for 1/4 of the, I guess, eye view, 1/4 of the view radius. Google does the same thing. They just look at Google. They don't look at Facebook. So all the touch points always get ignored. And so, you know, we try to look at things that really happened, not phone lookups. This slide seems out of place, but I'm going to go with it. So where's that slide? Okay, I'm missing a slide here, but I can talk about this one anyway. So this is from us pushing top of the funnel conversions into Google, this is how much more conversion value he's found there. Now, Google has a whole different dedupe mechanism. Our Google conversion integration is already built. You just turn it on with a checkbox and we'll push up the conversions. And it's the beauty of the Google one is when a click becomes a lead, we'll update that click with revenue 90 days out. So someone clicks and then they become a subscriber, or they just buy 2 times in 85 days. We'll update Google that click's worth, you know, additional revenue each time. And this is how much additional found revenue happened just in these 2 campaigns. And this, I think this was a year time frame. So you're talking about another $250,000 in revenue, another 150. It also educates the algorithm what to bid on. Like, don't just worry about the bottom of the funnel, worry about the top of the funnel. Particularly here, like 103 grand from the pixel, this was all top of the funnel on his search. This one, massive. So that's where sometimes search is killing it for you top of the funnel. When you have a lot of consideration, more expensive products, people don't click and buy right away. They got to think about it. So, yep, 4 million Facebook missed. So then scale the winners, kill the losers, and show the rest is the plan on this. I'm going to get here. Lead gen, we talked about some. This is something you definitely want to be doing. Lead gen on Facebook, you probably are, but now it's going to be more important to get those leads because one, you can retarget them, but then also, you know, lookalikes of your customers is always a top ad set. I know it's probably boring. It always works. Likes your competitors, likes product category. So Facebook with people lead gen, that's one thing to do. The Google ad integration does work with YouTube and GDN, and I'm going to get to something right here on Google. They're now people based as well. The audience, we now report at audience level or whatever triggered the ad. Was it aggressive auto targeting when you checkboxed aggressive auto targeting? Did that make it? We now know that. Was it because people, you know, they're in the market, or you're remarketing people based on? I like the one where you can just type in your competitors' URLs and say target people that visited this site. That one's working real nice. Affinity can work great. So you can just create these audiences, right? You go in there. Here's one like cooking enthusiasts based on your lists, or there's all kinds of ways to browse all these different things. So you can take your Facebook lead gen ad image, throw it on Google, and target people the same way. Like, see, here they are. What are they researching or planning? Who are they? It's really powerful. And so you get these categories going. Same with like YouTube. You do this little YouTube True View. Well, it's got a little ad here. I mean, not a very great ad of mine, apparently, but you click on the button and it tracks just like a Facebook lead gen ad. Just everything tracks. So here's what I would do for lead gen. I'd take the product page and create, you know, lead capture, track the LTV, set up email from them, even if it's just your deal of the week, and then do people-based lead gen on both Facebook and Google because it's similar. And then you scale the winners, kill the losers, and show the rest. That's kind of how it works. So again, you don't need to remember these URLs. Just go to iOS update resources. We'll have this recording on there, and you can take the quiz yourself if you want. You already took it, so I wouldn't do that if I was you. You just answered it. You could, though. Just going to get more emails from us. Scenarios, kind of break down those 7 scenarios. Survival guide covers what I covered near the end. Podcast has some cool stuff. And any other questions, fire away. Otherwise, that's what I got. Any thoughts on the devastation this is going to wreak on automated rules? Regardless of whether you use FB rules or RevealBot, the lack of attribution is going to render real-time rules useless. Yeah. So, and then I got the second piece here too. So first on that, it seems like it's going to wreak a lot of havoc because Apple's delaying the data, even if nothing else, even if they're delaying it. So how are you going to do real-time decisions when the data isn't real time? I don't know how it's going to happen. We're talking with RevealBot about an integration so that people can do more daily rule-based stuff. So our first integration is that we would like to, right now we're working on even a very simple CSV one where they can just import our stuff and then it will trigger changes based on people when you have delayed ROI. But for real-time bidding, I don't have an answer for that. It's going to be, I have an answer. It's going to be trouble. And so, yeah, right now, that's what we're doing. We're working with RevealBot. And secondly, if you guys are on my Thursday webinars, I'm doing live webinars every Thursday, and we're going to start posting them in the user group. I owe a post on the last one. There's a 7-step framework of how to use the data to scale. I've been wanting to put this in forever. It's going to be baked into the, you're welcome, Michael. It's going to be baked into the app. So you'll see the training in there. And it's like you can just read the 7 steps, or you can watch a 10-minute video, or you can watch a longer training depending on how much you care. And it's based on like which attribution models to use when and why, and then how to scale with it. So yeah, for intraday, I don't know how you're gonna do it yet. So Perry on dedupe, can I explain it more? I can. So here's how it works. Like, let's say this was our conversion. We wanted to get to this URL and you opted in to get here. Or, you know what, let me just go to my website. Let's just use an example. Okay, so I'm here and my conversion is opt in for the demo. So I click, come here, and so now Scott Wicked Reports is now in this CRM. We use HubSpot. So it's in HubSpot. So if I have on here configured that my pixel is going to fire the lead event when this page URL fires, the pixel needs to send an event ID. Normally, you wouldn't have cared about this for the past 10 years of advertising on Facebook, but now if you're doing dedupe, it matters. Whatever that event ID is that the pixel sent for Scott at Wicked Reports, your conversion API has to send the same event ID, whatever it happens to be. So you have to capture it on the page. In this case, if we were doing it, we would then stick it in HubSpot. And then from HubSpot, you send the conversion API the info that Scott at Wicked Reports is a lead, and the dedupe key is, whatever ID fired on the page. And there's a bunch of ways, there's all sorts of possible ways you might try to label that event ID yourself, but that's how you got to dedupe. Event ID. Hope that answers it. It should. But then what event ID do you use? How do you capture it? How do you store it? How do you send it within an hour? Because Facebook wants all their data within an hour. All that's the challenge. Okay, well, thanks everyone for your time. If you got follow-up questions, you can email me, Scott at Wicked Reports. Explode. I don't know what you mean by that. What is the name of the group? Wicked Reports, it's a Facebook user group. Sure, glad I could help. This was good. I'm glad we were able to do this, and the recording will be here soon. Thanks. Have a happy Tuesday.